let's do the full story. So tell me about when you got here, what you saw with Bitcoin Beach, what those guys had been doing, like what you learned from them.
Yeah. So I firstly want to give Bitcoin Beach like all the credit. You know, it was they're the reason I went to El Salvador. They're inspired a lot of what I ended up building and what ended up happening. And the role I played was very minor. And it's a tremendous community, a tremendous amount of individuals, and their legacy should be remembered forever. And so, yeah, I went down there. I lived in El Zante for over a month initially. And I met the team. I understood the problem they were trying to solve, the infrastructure they had already, and then what I felt was missing and how I could hopefully help the entire country. And we also, from the very beginning, viewed El Salvador as a first step. Strike's mission as a company is to improve financial freedom for all in the world. And we do that by making the world's first open monetary network easily accessible and usable. And so it was a great place to start. And I lived there, and it was awesome. And then I actually lived in San Salvador, the capital of the country. And I was sitting in a sushi restaurant with my friends that had traveled with me just to be helpful. Like, I don't speak Spanish, right? So we were sitting and eating sushi, and they were like, "Oh my God, we're all over the news." And every El Salvadorian Facebook group and everything was Strike in the remittance is free. Download this app, and you don't have to go to Western Union, and you can fix it improves your life, and all of these things we're seeing all over the internet. And I'm like, okay, you got to ignore it. Just keep working. Then I get a DM on Twitter, and it's, "Hi, Jack. This is a message on behalf of President Bukele." I'm like,
oh, fuck.
I initially ignore it and think I get weird Twitter DMs all the time. And some don't take it very seriously. And I read it again, and I realize it's from his brother. And I lean over to my friend and I show him, and we collectively kind of begin to piss our pants. Because, it wasn't clear, am I in trouble? What's happening? We launched this app, which directly threatens the internal banking infrastructure of the country, right? We're banking the unbanked. We're coming in as Americans and providing this financial infrastructure. I have no idea if they are educated on what's happening, if they understand what our goals are, because we're ultimately just trying to be helpful and trying to push Bitcoin forward and trying to make the world a better place through Bitcoin, the network, and Bitcoin, the asset. And so it wasn't clear to me. So we calm ourselves down, couldn't eat, we were just freaking out in the sushi restaurant. And we're okay, let's just push the meeting out. They wanted to meet immediately. I was let's push the meeting out a week and collect our thoughts. I also didn't pack a suit. I had all my hoodies. They're I don't have anything to wear. I'm going to walk into this president's office with flip-flops and a hoodie. And I messaged back, said, "This is fantastic. Let's push it a week." And they end up getting into this dialogue that was tremendously fascinating. It was about the lack of financial inclusion in the country and how majority of the country didn't have a bank account, and that if they were going to build the country that they wanted to live in and that they wanted their kids to live in, that they had to rebuild their financial infrastructure. And they saw Bitcoin and what Strike was doing as a major factor in what they viewed as the future of the world, and not only in El Salvador, but globally. And they saw the country uniquely positioned to take the first step in where the United States is incapable, where the EU is incapable. And I was blown away. It was never about we're going to, buy $1 billion worth of Bitcoin and try and make money. It was all about financial inclusion. It was about open networks. It was about free markets from the very beginning. And then at the end of the message, they said, "Oh, by the way, you don't have 7 days to meet us. You're going to meet us within the next 24 hours. And I was all right. So I called my dad. Yeah. And obviously within the message, it was this is an absolute secret. You can't mention this to anyone. So I called my dad and was "Hey, listen, I got to go meet the president, and I'm scared. I don't know if I'm going to get arrested, if I'm going to be threatened, or if I'm going to be praised and then threatened by the United States. I have no idea what's going on. I'm a Bitcoiner through and through. But I got to do this. I got to do this for Bitcoin. I got to do this for financial inclusion for the people that need this. And I'm going to speak my truth and talk about how I view the world. And I went, and my buddy came with me. And there are three of us. And the thesis was one person was going to stay behind in case I never made it out of the meeting. And we had a direct line to like the U.S. Embassy and other people that we had collected that would be helpful. And then my other friend went with me. And he was just like, listen, dude, if you're going to go to jail, like I'm going to go to jail with you, man. Like this is a fight for human freedom. And this is not the point in which we turn around. And so he came with me to just wait in the lobby. And in case I went to jail, I wasn't going to go to jail alone. And we went and yeah, we pulled in. First of all, they gave me latitude and longitude. They didn't give me an address, which was awesome. And so I gave like my driver latitude, longitude. He was like, what is this? Like, and I didn't speak Spanish. I had to explain to him that we had to put it into like Google coordinate and stuff. And we show up and there's like, you know, guys with the rifles everywhere and all the security. And initially they like perk up, like, who's this American 27-year-old? And then out comes the president's brother and waves me in, and I'm wearing a hoodie and he's wearing a hoodie. And I immediately felt comfortable. And from the start, the conversation was about financial inclusion, open systems, open monetary networks, free markets, how the existing financial system is broken, and how, in theory, the world is a much more free, economically liberal place if the monetary network is Bitcoin. And we talked about everything. We talked about art. We talked about artistry. We talked about anime. We talked about our taste in food, and just got to know each other as like people. And then how Bitcoin could play a role in improving the country and improving the world, both the asset and the network. And that was the beginnings of it. And I went back to my hotel in San Salvador, and I began sketching out some ideas, and we would meet over and over and over and over. And yeah, I'll stop there. But that was like the first, and it was obviously they gave me instruction like, this is an absolute secret, and you know, we can't let the narrative sneak into other people's minds and get too many voices included. Like, we got this, we can do this. We really trust your expertise. And I grew to, you know, appreciate their opinions and their viewpoint on the world. And that was the start of the whole thing.
I don't think people can really comprehend what those, I mean, especially there's about a 5-week period where it was intense as fuck. Like, it was really difficult because I had people asking and talking. I was like, I can't talk about it, yada, yada. But it wasn't just that the country had turned around to you and the president, his brothers had turned around and said, yeah, we want to do this. We want to make Bitcoin legal tender. You were running a business. I know you're going to tell about the Indy 500. You had Miami to prepare for. You had life to live. You had to keep fit. You had to eat. So I don't think people really understand. I mean, what was the pressure like?
It was overwhelming, and it was just like a little disorienting. But listen, like, you know, people have been concerned about me since, and I'm not being public and stuff. Like, I'm the toughest motherfucker anyone's ever met. You know, I'm a soldier, and I will die on this hill. That's not a meme. And I fight for what's right. I'm the most resilient, ambitious, loyal guy. Those are like qualities I pride myself on. So it was part of the job, man. And it is a job that I subscribe myself to, and that I would take any day of the week. I'd do it all over again. But no, I mean, I went from meeting with the government in the top secret sense. It was like, don't you dare mention this to anybody. So then I would come back and have a call with the IndyCar team. And then I would open my sketchbook and start drawing visions of what a car would look like. And then I would start writing edits to the bill and like, oh, you know, like, would this look good? I'm not sure. And then we're onboarding 20,000 Salvadorans a day, and we're hiring like crazy, and our business in the US is exploding. And I'm, you know, hiring new leadership and moving our org structure around. and I'm living out of this villa in the coast of El Salvador. And it was intense. And you would, I would talk with other folks, and I wasn't allowed to say anything I'm working on. And people are wiring me millions of dollars for the IndyCar. And it was, like coordinating with open source teams on where the money was going. But it was, I don't know, man. I mean, like, I love it. I live for it. And I optimize my life around doing what's best for Bitcoin, because I think Bitcoin is the best tool humanity's ever created to make the most outsized impact on humanity and society and human behavior. And so if I can do best by Bitcoin, I feel like it's the best way I can impact the world and those around me.